Hi everybody, it's Kasey Wynn, and for this video I am going to be talking about what I learned this past weekend in one of the talks that I sat in on at Discover Blockchains, which is a blockchain conference that I attended that was held in Houston, Texas. It's a major city in the state of Texas, and this talk was given by a mathematician from the Monero lab, and his name, he goes by Sarang, but his real name is Aaron. And so he talked about privacy on the blockchain. And so I have my notes here. I normally don't read off of anything, but for this case I'm reading the notes that I took. I shortened my notes, and these are how I take my notes to help me remember and I'm able to look back upon, but also keep it in video format. I hope to be able to assist people to learn something new as well, but also it allows me to look back, and instead of like looking at my notes, I can hear myself talk, which is kind of weird, but if I ever wanted to, I can sit and hear myself talk and try to remember what I learned in that time, during that time. And so he talked about privacy on the blockchain, how it works, why it matters, and what's next. And so to get started, he was like, what does privacy mean in digital assets? Are all cryptos really private? And when you think about it, my first instinct was to say yes, but I thought about it and I was like, wait, is this a trick question? And he was like, no, they're not all private. Not no to is it a trick question, the answer to are all crypto private? And he said no, they're not all private. Okay, Bitcoin keeps users' transactions private, but the transactions are pseudonymous. You are not actually anonymous to where it's you have your address and people can see that you're under that address. They just don't know who you are, but you are that address and they can see it. So they don't know the identity of the person, but they know how much and what address. So they can see how much and what address, how much was sent to that address, or how much did that address receive, how much did that address send. If you go through an exchange, then the exchange will know the real identity. And that opened my mind, because I didn't think of it that way, but that makes perfect sense. It's not anonymous, it's pseudonymous. And so pseudonymous basically means you don't know the identity of the person, but it's like saying we don't know who Satoshi is, but we don't know if it's a guy, a single person, a woman, or a group, but he, she, or they go by Satoshi. And so with that being said, if Bitcoin is traced back, he also said something that I did not know. He said if Bitcoin is traced back to illegal activity, it can be blacklisted and you lose your funds. So even if you're an honest person, and you did not have anything to do with the illegal activity, but it went through illegal activity and it came from illegal activity, it's automatically blacklisted and you completely lose your funds. And I did not know that, so it was something I was like, wow, I learned something. Of course, I attended the event and I learned a lot of somethings. I learned, my brain just soaked in a ton of new information. And this one was like, I was like, I did not know your Bitcoins could be blacklisted. So all the information that's available is the sender, the recipient, and the amount. And so why should you care that this information is available? Well, what he said was like, would you accept your salary if that information was available for others to see? So it's like saying, I don't ever ask. So that's like saying, I don't go around asking everybody how much they make, and all of that. It's not the type of person I am. It's your business, and I will only ask if it's something I need to know for like research purposes or something, or it's an important matter that I have to take to hand. But if it's just to know, I don't ask. But also, I don't want everybody knowing how much I make a year. So he basically said, would you accept your salary if it was available for everybody to see? And all of that. And I was just like, wow, okay, that's a good way to put it. So, and then he also said, that's a good way to put it. And then he went on to compare two privacy coins, and so the first one is Zcash, and Zcash, he loves both of this, so he compares Zcash to Monero. And so Zcash, you have two addresses. It could either be transparent or it could be shielded. Transparent is the same as Bitcoin. The sender, the recipient, and the amount is public. Whether it's shielded, the sender, the recipient, and the amount is all anonymous. And you have the choice to choose between whether you want to be transparent or you want to be shielded. With Monero does not allow for transparent transactions at all. The sender is anonymous within a small group. The recipients are fully anonymous, and the transaction amounts are hidden. And with that being said, the con of that is transactions take a lot of space. So that means it's a slow process. It's slow. And so, like with every situation, there are pros and cons. With Zcash, the con could be, hey, you have the choice to make it transparent to where people can know the recipient, the sender, and the amount. Well, the con for Monero is that transactions take a lot of space, so it's slow. And I'm glad that he compared the two. He's fans of both of them, and he loved the two. He loves the two, and I'm glad he provided a comparison. So Next, he went about and talked about the trade-offs to practical privacy technologies. So privacy essentially means to try to be as anonymous as possible. Efficiency, it's the time, the space, and the requirements. The usability, the tyranny of the default. Users should not have to be experts in math, tech, etc. to understand all of this. He tried to make the user experience as easy as possible, as seamless as possible, and so privacy, keeping it as anonymous as possible. He wants he believes that the user experience should be as efficient as possible, as less space as possible, and as less requirements as possible. Same as usability, the tyranny of the default. Users should not be an expert in tech or math to understand how to use it. Just try to keep it as simple as possible. And then he went on to ask, why do people keep on falling for scams and spams? So he basically said, because integrations are complex and it needs to be handled carefully and with expertise, and most of us are not experts in this. Most of with expertise, and so you need to know what you're doing, and you need to understand what you're doing, and you need to do it carefully and as carefully as possible, and protect everything as possible. Your privacy matters, and with that, he said, make sure your privacy is defined. Privacy must not. He also said your privacy must not be optional. So with that, I believe. He also said your privacy must not be optional. So with that, he said something along the lines of they should not give you an option to allow your transactions to be transparent. It should just be completely private. And so to round up his talk, basically gave a summary and some advice. So he said, make sure your privacy is defined, and that privacy must not be optional. And so with this, he basically meant they should not give you an option to have your privacy transparent. It should just be straight private. And then to round it up, integration is tricky and it's subtle. So flaws matter, but so do responses. How do they overcome these flaws? How do they fix it? And all of that. So flaws matter, flaws happen, but how do these people respond to it? How do the people behind it respond to it, and what's going to happen? And then always ask for the math, always do your research, always know what you're getting into, and all of that. And I really enjoyed Aaron's talk, because I heard about privacy coins and I knew a little bit about it, but this brought it up even more. He's right. It's transactions are pseudonymous, not anonymous, and with privacy coins, it's anonymous. Whereas with Bitcoin, and I know I'm repeating myself, but this really stuck out with me. With Bitcoin, the sender's address is shown. The recipient's address is shown, and the amount. Granted, you don't know the actual identity of this person, but it's still shown. And with privacy coins, the sender, the recipient, and the amount are not shown. And so that really stuck out to me, and I learned a lot. He's a very intelligent guy, and I loved his talk, and I loved soaking in all the information that he had. So Aaron, thank you for that. And I hope you guys were able to learn something new with this video. If you did, please let me know below in the comments. If you were able to understand something better, that's great too. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like our channel, please subscribe to it.